In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Willow Creek, where every house was identical and every blade of grass stood obediently in line, lived Mr. Walter Grimsby, the undisputed king of lawns. Every summer for the past 15 years, Walter had won the HOA's Best Lawn of the Year award without fail. His yard glowed an impossible emerald green, so rich and perfect that it looked painted onto the earth. It didn't matter how hard the other homeowners tried. None of their lawns ever matched Walter's. The neighborhood whispered about him behind freshly trimmed hedges. "He must be using some illegal fertilizer," Mrs. Patterson from across the street would say, squinting at Walter's yard through her binoculars. "No one's lawn should look that perfect. It's unnatural." Young Timmy from next door once dared to toss a baseball into Walter's backyard, only to have Walter appear out of nowhere, snatch the ball, and glare until Timmy fled. No one dared to step foot on Walter's property, and he welcomed no visitors. At HOA meetings, he remained silent, sitting stiffly in the corner, hands folded, as the other residents discussed fence heights, mailbox styles, and driveway cracks. But everything changed the day a new neighbor moved in. Daniel Harper, a curious, tech-savvy man who worked remotely and had too much time on his hands. Daniel noticed the perfection right away. His own yard was patchy and thin, despite fertilizer, watering, and prayers. One evening, while walking his dog Max, Daniel paused near Walter's house. The grass was flawless, each blade standing tall like tiny green soldiers. Even in the moonlight, the lawn glowed faintly. Then he heard it, a low, rhythmic humming coming from Walter's backyard. Max growled softly, pulling at his leash. Daniel knelt beside his dog, straining to listen. The sound was mechanical, pulsing like the heartbeat of a hidden machine. The humming stopped the moment Walter's porch light flicked on. Walter stood in the doorway, staring, silent, watching. Daniel quickly tugged Max away and hurried home, but his curiosity was now hooked like a fish on the line. The next day, while pretending to fix his mailbox, Daniel set up a tiny motion-activated camera pointing at Walter's backyard. He waited. That night, the camera caught something strange. At precisely midnight, Walter emerged from his house wearing a heavy coat and gloves, dragging what looked like a large sack across the lawn. The sack squirmed. Daniel's heart pounded as he watched the grainy footage. Walter knelt by his flower bed, unzipped the sack, and pulled out something small and moving. Rabbits? Birds? Daniel couldn't tell. Then Walter did something shocking. He gently placed the creatures into the flower bed and whispered words, strange, guttural sounds unlike any language Daniel had ever heard. The ground shimmered faintly, and the grass around him seemed to quiver in delight. At dawn, the lawn looked greener than ever. Daniel knew he needed to find out more, and the only way was to sneak into Walter's backyard. Late that night, under a moonless sky, Daniel crept out of his house, clad in black, armed with his phone, flashlight, and courage. Max whined softly from the window as Daniel crossed the street toward Walter's yard. The grass felt strange under his shoes, springy, soft, as if the earth breathed beneath it. The humming was louder now, vibrating through his bones. Daniel slipped along the hedge and peeked into the backyard. His breath caught. The entire yard was alive. Glowing vines slithered through the soil like snakes. Flowers bloomed with pulsing, radiant light, their petals opening and closing like mouths. Tiny, winged creatures flitted among the plants, glimmering, delicate things that weren't birds or insects. They looked like miniature humans with translucent wings, fairies. In the center of the yard stood Walter, arms raised, chanting softly. Around him, small animals, mice, rabbits, even a stray cat, sat calmly in a circle, their eyes glowing faintly green. The lawn itself rippled gently, as if it were water. Daniel gasped. Walter turned. "Curiosity is dangerous, Mr. Harper," Walter said, his voice calm but firm. "You should not have come." What is this?" Daniel stammered. "What are you doing to the yard? What are those things?" Walter sighed, lowering his arms. The glowing slowed. "I am the caretaker," Walter said, "of this lawn, and of the creatures beneath. The soil here is old. Older than this neighborhood. It's alive. And it hungers. Daniel's stomach turned. Hungers for what? Walter smiled sadly. For life. Small life, usually. Birds, mice, pests. Their energy feeds the soil, keeps it lush, vibrant. In exchange, the earth grows this perfection. I keep the balance. You feed animals to the lawn? Daniel whispered. Only what is needed, Walter replied. If the lawn hungers too long, it grows restless. And it craves more than small things. Once, years ago, a thief tried to break in. He disappeared without a trace. His energy still nourishes the roses. Daniel backed away, heart hammering. This is insane. The HOA, the neighbors. They know nothing. And they're safe because of me. Because the lawn is fed and content. As Daniel turned to flee, the ground trembled. Vines slithered from the soil, wrapping gently around his ankles. He froze. You've seen too much, Walter said softly. But you could help. You could join me, care for the lawn. Learn the ways. Or the lawn could take you. Daniel struggled, heart pounding, but the vines loosened. Walter watched, waiting. No thanks, Daniel gasped, pulling free. He ran, sprinting across the yard, the grass whispering beneath his feet. He didn't stop until he was safe inside his house, door locked, blind shut. The next morning, Walter's lawn gleamed brighter than ever. But Daniel stayed indoors, curtains drawn, watching, waiting. At the next HOA meeting, Walter announced his retirement as Lawn Care Committee Chairman. I've found my replacement, he said with a thin smile. His eyes settled on Daniel. The neighbors clapped politely. Daniel forced a smile, nodding as the room applauded. After all, in Willow Creek, you always take care of your lawn. Or it takes care of you. The following week was tense. Daniel avoided going outside, afraid of what Walter might do. Or worse, what the lawn itself might attempt. But the neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Walter Grimsby had formally resigned as HOA Lawn Committee Chairman. The neighborhood needed a replacement. And to everyone's shock, Daniel Harper's name was at the top of the nomination list. Daniel received a letter in his mailbox. No stamp, no return address. The paper smelled faintly of fresh soil. You will care for it now. It knows you. It hungers. He crumpled the note, shoving it into his pocket. But deep down, he felt the truth of those words. That night, in his dreams, he heard the low, contented hum of the lawn, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. The HOA meeting was awkward. Walter was absent. Daniel was voted in unanimously, despite his protests. Smiling faces congratulated him, neighbors clapping his back, unaware of the terrible weight that had settled on his shoulders. Just water and mow every week, Mrs. Patterson chirped. Walter's left you his secret fertilizer recipe, hasn't he? That's all you need. If only it were that simple. That night, another letter arrived, slipped under his door. Midnight. The lawn hungers. Feed it. Daniel shivered. He could hear the hum already rising from his backyard. With Max curled beside him, Daniel stood at the back door, staring out at his yard. His grass was no longer patchy and thin. It shimmered faintly in the moonlight, vibrant and lush. A gift or a curse? What would happen if he disobeyed? Would the lawn creep inside? Would the vines snake through his walls, find Max, find him, and feed on their life? The lawn was awake now, and it knew him. The sack waited by the door, left mysteriously on his porch. He knew what was inside, small animals. Enough to quiet the soil for a while. I'm sorry, Daniel whispered, hefting the sack. I didn't ask for this. In the backyard, the earth stirred eagerly as he approached. The humming deepened, resonating through his chest. He opened the sack and released its contents, rabbits, mice, creatures that Walter had captured or bred for this purpose. They scurried into the grass, vanishing as the ground swallowed them whole. The lawn shimmered. Flowers bloomed instantly, glowing blue in the dark. The hum softened, satisfied. For now. Weeks passed. Daniel obeyed every silent command. Feedings at midnight. Whispering the ancient words Walter had left in a leather-bound book. The lawn grew greener, more perfect than ever. The neighbors marveled. The HOA praised him. But the lawn's appetite grew. One night, the sack was heavier. The squirming inside was frantic. Daniel opened it slowly, his heart dropping. A stray dog.
Alive.
Terrified. "No," Daniel whispered. "Not this. I won't." The ground trembled beneath him. Vines slithered, wrapping around his ankles, tugging him toward the soil. The lawn spoke, not in words, but in feelings. Hunger. Anger. Warning. "Please," Daniel begged. "Not this. Take something else." The vines paused. The lawn considered. From the shadows, movement. A figure at the fence. Mrs. Patterson, out late for her evening walk, peering through the hedge. The lawn sent a silent suggestion. Daniel felt it in his mind, sharp, insistent. Her. Daniel recoiled.
No.
She's innocent. The vines tightened. The hum rose, impatient. The grass shimmered like water. He stood trembling, caught between horror and survival. The dog whimpered. Mrs. Patterson turned away, heading back home. The lawn's suggestion faded, but its hunger did not. Daniel fell to his knees. "Take me," he whispered. "Not them." The vines loosened. The humming softened. And slowly, the lawn accepted the dog instead. The animal vanished beneath the grass, the earth quivering with satisfaction. Daniel collapsed, weeping. Months passed. Daniel changed. His face grew pale, his eyes hollow. But his lawn, oh, his lawn was perfect. The HOA gave him award after award. Visitors came to marvel. The neighborhood glowed with pride. But at night, when the moon was full, Daniel walked the yard barefoot, whispering to the earth, feeling its hunger stir beneath him. One day, he knew it would want more. And he would have to choose again. Because in Willow Creek, the lawn always comes first. And it always hungers. The end? Or is it?